wants the legislature to roll back the tax changes that were made last year. You had a phalanx of business people there who basically said these changes are hurting job creation, and it was almost an ultimatum that the budget as it's being written now is not acceptable. So, very strong message from the governor and the business community on these taxes, and just how do you respond to this?
Well, what I would say is this year we have had a lot of pressure from both within the building and outside the building to implement broad-based tax increases, including income taxes, sales tax, sugar tax, and we have prevented that from happening this year. We have stuck to our guns and said we're going to balance the budget with the money that we have. From our perspective, we have exercised extreme frugality and fiscal discipline in putting together our budget. Now, with regard to the changes that were made last year, only 3% of taxpayers paid more as a result of the capital gains change. Only 10 to 20 estates actually paid more because of the estate tax changes. And all Vermonters got a tax rate decrease. In fact, most Vermonters, most middle-class Vermonters, actually got a tax cut. So we think that we're on the right path. We think this year we've acted with very good fiscal discipline, and we look forward to getting this budget passed and getting it passed by Saturday.
What if he doesn't sign it? Because that seemed to be also the message.
I don't think that anybody wants to have a repeat of what happened last year. But quite frankly, from our perspective, putting together a budget is a negotiation process. And what we see now is the governor's negotiation tactics. And this is no different than we've seen for the last 8 years. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but we know how the negotiation goes back and forth. And I think by the end of Saturday, we'll have a deal where we can go home and we won't have a veto.
Do you see that the tax changes are hurting business growth in the state? That was the message from all those business leaders that were here this morning.
I just want to remind you that it's the governor in his State of the State address 3 years ago that called for this tax change. He called the preferential treatment for wealthy Vermonters as a result of our capital gains exclusion an unfair tax on working Vermonters. So we listened to him. But I think the important point is what the speaker just outlined. We came into this session understanding that we had to balance this budget with new ideas, not new taxes. There are no broad-based taxes in either of our bills, and we're going to go home keeping that promise.
And you don't see revisiting the issues from last year as being critical in forming this year's budget?
Well, we cut $168 million from state spending last year. We're now taking another $150 million cut. The part that we have difficulty with is how do you reduce revenues at a time when you're facing such difficult financial choices?
How are the challenges coming along?
They're coming. It's a challenge, but they're coming. But I really do think that we'll get out of here with a challenge bill that meets the goals of finding the money through efficiencies, making government be better at what they do, and not cutting services to vulnerable Vermonters. We can do it.
So that's on the floor late today?
It would be very late today.
Okay. It has to be today, though, doesn't it?
We think so.
Because of rules suspensions, isn't that?
Yeah, it would have to be today pretty much.
We're working on it today.
We're working on today.
I think